Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final JoKaKaKa chapter review podcast for JoJolion.
There we go.
I'm Jim.
I'm Sam. Jim, don't sound so depressed.
I'm not depressed. I'm just I'm marinating in this moment.
It's the end of a season.
It is the end of the season, but it's like a big end of a season.
It is.
This has been, JoJolion has been going on for 10 years.
Yes.
JoKaKaKa, this time next week, will hit our 4th year anniversary. So we've been covering it for about 4 years.
Yeah, roughly.
It's been a very big part of my life.
Yeah.
JoJo. It's funny to say that out loud. It's embarrassing and sad to say it out loud.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been. I've loved doing these.
This part has, brought so much to us.
It has, and now it's over.
Despite our feelings with how the finale's been going, the end is here.
It's here, and it needs to be confronted. We cannot. Yeah. We can shield our eyes no longer from the ending.
Yeah. So we're basically just gonna review this final chapter. We're kind of gonna save our opinions of JoJolion whole for since there's gonna be a little break between parts 8 and 9. We're probably will just have a spoiler cast for the next months at least.
Yeah, I would really like to read JoJolion all the way through one more time.
And that's your homework too, listener, is to review it. And we want you to have go reread it, have your thoughts on who your favorite, and then how this part kind of ranks into the other 7 parts, main character wise, and as a whole part as well.
So you heard him. Don't, just because JoJolion's ending, don't go nowhere, because JoKaKaKa remains alive forever.
Sure. It's on the internet, so it's there forever.
All right, and without further ado, let's talk about JoJolion Chapter 110.
Yes, the Radio Gaga Incident 2, or Part 2, I guess.
No, Part 2 is Battle Tendency.
Yeah, oh, well.
Well. So, our chapter begins with Holly. No,
Holly?
I knew.
You couldn't even shake off that addiction of calling Lucy Holly.
It's a tradition at this point. Lucy Steele is being sucked up like a piece of paper into a vacuum cleaner through the guardrail. It is attacking her. We see a really cool image of, it's like we see the face of the driver.
Yes,
within this viscera puddle.
So yeah,
it's really cool.
It's basically using it as a weird puppet, where the intestines is the long string of just kind of being puppeted out.
Yeah, it's
really gross. He really went hardcore for this disgusting body horror. Like I said last time, this is like a Rohan chapter of just this weird supernatural thing that's happening that we just know is a rock animal instead of maybe an actual god or an actual ghost thing.
So yeah, I think we can kind of summarize this early part pretty quick. So as you said, we see the rock animal is puppeting this man. So what's interesting here is this. So if you remember from last chapter, and we see a little bit of it here, the rock animal is communicating with Lucy.
It's mentally though.
Yeah, mentally. And then it's able to communicate through the corpse of the driver.
Yes.
And it's we have never seen a rock animal this intelligent before.
Pretty much, yeah.
So it makes me think
they just kind of go on instinct every other time, or just literally be piloted in a tank.
Yeah, they've just kind of been tools basically.
Yeah.
It's interesting that this one has will, and it has wants, and it can manipulate things.
It's very much like a siren kind of thing, or one of those things that just lures in people like that and then consumes them from there.
Like Shelob from Lord of the Rings.
Sure. And then
Shelob's an animal.
But this rock animal is very feels like a lore kind of thing of ancient stories of just something that sucks you in.
Yeah.
Lures you in and then makes you think something or someone is calling to you.
So our boy Fumi-kun tackles.
he has his way with her of this. Just tossing her all over the place while she's coughing up blood from her lung disease that she has.
So at this point, she's what? She's in her
63. I thought she. Or
I think she dies at 63. I think
okay.
she's 61.
She's in her,
currently.
Yeah, she's in a very early 60s. That's not a spoiler. She literally got end of part 7, but better.
Which is it's fine.
Fine.
So Lucy here, she gets tackled by Fumi. Fumi saves her. Interestingly. So she's aware of, so you can see this guy's corpse. So we learn that she does not have stand.
Yeah,
She's not a stand user.
Rock animals are not stands. They are just creatures with abilities, or have like they're not really with ability because they just take the form of like an inanimate object.
I would say they have abilities.
I meant like it's just like, well, at least with like some of the other ones we've seen with Toru, they feel like this is how they like, because
the hair clip certainly had an ability.
Well, I meant like the other one with Toru had, or was one review. They were more like this is how they survive in the wild because he explained with like the cookies and everything about like, oh, this is just how it would work in the wild. It consumes other prey and like how it eats.
Yeah, I still think it's supposed to be like standard.
But this one is more like an ability, I think, and definitely Do Re Mi had that as well.
Do Re Mi Fa Sol La Ti Do.
I'm not taking all that extra breath.
What was the ability even? It just kind of like was able to like traverse underground.
Yeah, it was literally just another underground stand.
Great. We love those. We love all of the underground stands. I'm saying with complete sincerity.
Oasis is good.
Oasis is okay. I think I was really soured by the anime's take on Oasis. I hated how that fight looked.
Yeah, CG water the ground.
It wasn't even the CG. It was just the visuals looked poor. Like,
yeah,
it was hard to.
It's a very hard to animate like the ground underground when it's all gonna be just dark brown.
Manga is superior to anime every time.
Like I said, there's some fights that anime did well and some did not nearly as well. So
moving on.
So the image of Lucy, he gets her in the car, and the image of like the driver like, just biting Lucy's head or like the hat, but it's like horrifying.
There's a little bit of exposition in between. There's not exposition, but Lucy's like really, she's apologetic to him that she got him roped up in this. Which
one of the few people that actually apologize for dragging someone into a stand shit.
Yeah, basically. Fumi basically also says that he's never seen an animal. I love this one line. He's never seen an animal that's as hard or dry as this guardrail is, which is hilarious.
All the living things he knows. He knows a lot of living things.
I think elephants are probably pretty hard and dry. Crocodiles, maybe, if they're not in water.
Because they talking about just like the touching of the guardrail itself is
I don't know. I'm just being a bitch. So yeah, he tackles her. He's really rough with her body.
Like I said, throughout the entire thing, he is like not kind to her.
Imagine if you.
But then again, this is probably his resentment of dragging her into this crazy bullshit.
Imagine, Sam. Just picture your grandma being treated like this at her age.
Eat it across the.
Like how viewer at home. Imagine your grandma being like thrown around. Like poor Lucy is here. She's probably all bruised up
and also coughing up her lungs. So
yeah, which it could not have helped her condition.
Yeah. But they're also getting bite on top of her head, which is like horrifying.
Yeah. So as you said, like the corpse of the driver comes. I wasn't expecting the driver to show up again in this way, but the visuals are super cool.
Literally calling him out for just like, "You're leaving me. You are terrible."
That's like the crazy thing about this. So going back to what I was saying, how like. And later on, the guardrail talks directly to her again. It has like knowledge of like it's using like it's using the driver's like feelings
because she says
to project itself. It's very interesting.
It's keeping him alive on purpose. Even his head and body cracked. The guardrail just barely keeping him alive, or keeping him just barely alive.
It's really interesting.
It's so cool. This is like the coolest rock animal, and
yeah.
It is the most fascinating one. It
really kind of it expands what the idea of a rock animal can be. Something that like has will, and like there's a part even where when it's talking directly. So the way that the speech bubbles are illustrated, and they have like lines around them, and it's saying like, "Oh, you're so inhumane." It's like calling them lowlives for abandoning their friend or the driver. I want to call the friend. Very interesting.
Like you hired me, so I'm your responsibility. Kind of guilting them.
Yeah.
And even then, like
Fumi clocks him, which is great, and the eyeball pops out. I love to see it.
You love to see gratuitous violence. And then he gets like he wraps his arms around Fume and gets like hit like the intestines around his neck to pull him in.
I love that visual. I love the visual. Like I love the way Araki does like these blood spatters.
Even with all the blood that's like around the area, he still like finds a way to shade it so you can see clearly the intestines around his neck, which is nice.
And the image too of like the driver getting completely like smushed and the blood pinata exploding is very cool.
And and then he gets the suck happen, and just like the explosion of gore just happened. So this is like a common thing of just like the gore just happens of this guardrail, and I'm guessing like And then no one. I guess this thing just cleans itself up too. I guess
It must just
or
slurp it
Toru
up.
or Toru comes with a bucket and just like wipes it off.
I love that. He literally does have like a shovel and bucket
Like
later
I said,
in the chapter.
like I say, like this just the Toru is more interesting when you think of the stuff he does not in like visually shown.
Yeah, the imagining the things that he has to be doing are really hilarious.
Like, God damn, I gotta clean up another teenage corpse I was making out near my guardrail. near Radio Gaga, I guess.
So yeah,
So he rips his shirt off, and you see the actual like
the star. He's
the
got
Joestar.
the Joestar birthmark,
which is everybody, and his 20 pack also.
he's a Joestar, so he's extremely ripped.
Yeah, I think it's just the image of like his face going into the guardrail with the eye looking very smugly.
I love the way that eye looks. Yeah, it's like a screw, but it's got an eyeball.
It's so weird that like for a rock animal, it has a human eye like that.
Yeah, that's why it doesn't feel like a rock animal as we've seen.
I just want to understand rock animals other than just being like tools for the rock humans to use as guards essentially, or just like assist. Like guard, like she do call them like guard animals or guard dogs or animals.
When we got the rock human like lore dump chapter, this was about a year or two ago, or a year and a half ago, I think. It goes into this idea that the rock humans rather, are like a parallel evolution with humans, so it's kind of like a fallback. So this makes me think like there's just even more branches of like weird parallel evolutions,
and just like
that aren't just like subservient animals.
Because like it just feels like there is a rock animal, and like similar to how the rock humans like like symbiotic attached to the bee and everything, where the animals maybe symbiotic attach itself to just inanimate objects and then just like evolve, like grow from there, I guess. And somehow this one became a guardrail, or just like Toru tossed into a guardrail near the orchard because that was the only thing nearby that he could like, I guess, attach it to.
Yeah, I didn't even think of the idea because it's just like it basically could be like it's kind of like a Mimikyu almost. So like a Mimikyu is like there's more underneath than just the thing, but like the actual like sheet covering does have like some kind of emoting sometimes.
Yeah,
even though it shouldn't. Like here, it's got the eyeball on the outside.
Yeah. So yeah, Lucy basically says like, start the car up. I know you have a stand that can reach that essentially. And
this is such a great moment. She's yelling like, "Start the engine!" It's so fucking cool.
I love he just also just shows him gripping like the like the guardrail repeatedly, and then like you see all this shit just fly out of the trunk. It's just like from her perspective what she's seeing, which is really cool. I always love like the perspective from like non-stand users, and it very like reminds me of like part 3 of just like when Jotaro's in the jail, or just like shit just getting in there and flying towards him. And then that's when we see one of my like, images of just seeing like Hermit Purple.
Oh my god, it was I freaking pogged when I saw Hermit Purple.
Okay, I love the like, you don't see it like I don't like it in Go Beyond like when because that's just where it came from. But like the stand coming out the birthmark with like, Hermit Purple looks so much better than the bubble just coming out of it. I just think it looks cool just having like the thorns coming out.
I like the way that Go Beyond comes out. I think it's kind of cool. It's also like a callback to like the first chapter.
I know that, cool. But it's like it just looks cool with like the thorns coming out. It reminds me very much of like the image of like Holly in part 3 with like the thorns wrapping around her, and it's just a really cool way to show him just using it.
It is super sick. I mean, it's great. We fucking love seeing Hermit Purple. We love to see it.
And then, but even a brief, like very like one panel showing of like the actual like humanoid version of Hermit Purple,
which we have never before seen in JoJo,
and it doesn't look anything like a part 8 stand too, which is very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's what's interesting here is like how because like he makes this gesture where he's like gripping for like wire, he's gripping for like a cord, and it's like, what is he doing with that? But he fucking like I feel like this is such a Joseph move. Like, he uses... Oh, spoilers. he uses this cord to hotwire the car, basically, so that he can, like, save his life.
Because he has the fans that has... and, like, there's a keyboard, like, stuff that probably would have power in it.
Yeah, it's cool. Because that's... And as we know, like, as people who've seen part 3, like, Hermit Purple works through technology. Like, that's kind of its thing.
He uses through technology and, like, transfer him on into other stuff as well. But like, I just like it just looks cool. Just like seeing like other than just because Joseph in part 3 just had it around his arm, and just seeing it just come out of his back essentially from his birthmark and just wrap around everywhere. It's a way more unique, interesting like design to it than just wrapping around the arm and like coming out like a Spider-Man web.
It's really cool, and I like how we only see like the head.
Yeah,
I like that we don't see like a full body. Actually,
it like looks like a part 5, part 6 kind of Stan. It's like nothing. It's like nothing from like what we've seen in like the Steel Ball Run verse. I feel.
I can see what you're saying.
It kind of reminded me of like a Spice Girl face to it.
Yeah, it kind of does.
But with the thorns.
Oh, there's another one that kind of reminds. It kind of gives me like what's his name? King Crimson, but without like the little head.
The little head. It doesn't have nearly memeable face of King Crimson.
Well, whatever. But so we're skipping over the funny joke. The clackers. It's
literally the DMC Devil May Cry where he goes, "Not in a million years," and then throws it away.
He's the fucking clackers. I pog, I clap when I see the reference. Sam.
Also the lead up, he does like little auras for punches, which is like the lead up to I guess who the identity is as well, which I do like. But yeah, he gets the car, he kills the fucking guardrail. I'm assuming it's killed by hitting it with a car.
Hey, I didn't see a corpse.
I mean,
if we ever saw anything from this guardrail again, I'd be surprised.
Part 9 main villain is the guardrail.
Shut the fuck up. I also just love the logistics of this fight, like how he uses the car to slam into the guardrail, and then he does his like Aura barrage. Technically, it's not an Aura barrage. He says he says Araha.
But before that, he gives like one when he's trying to not get sucked in. He gives like a couple punches.
He does say Aura several times. Yes,
but, like only Joestar say Aura.
That's kind of true.
It's just like a Joestar, yeah, But yeah, if you get the Lucy ad, like, what's your name? What's your real name?
And it's funny because, like, obviously last chapter, a lot of speculation over this character.
This was, like, the big prediction with everybody saying, oh, it's Joseph. And people were like, maybe not. Maybe, like I said, and I was like, he could be there to die for all we know.
I felt like there was a lot of really, like, definitive evidence, especially the age.
Yes.
People working out the age of the character based on what we saw in the, like, family trees, but it's so great to see people call him Joseph Joestar, and then also to have the explanation of why his name is pronounced the way it is, which is Fumi.
Even
Josefu.
It talks about his grandma Rina living in S City with him.
Yeah, he mentions Giorno. You love to see it, or not
Giorno?
Gyro.
Yeah, the Gyro bringing his corpse home.
Love it. I love when my favorite part is referenced.
I know what I love, like, because he says like, "Oh, my grandpa's dead now," though. But like that's the zoom in on Lucy's face and just kind of her having a flashback to Johnny, like the back of him. It's just like I love this zoom in draw like this panel of her.
Yeah, when he does like the light screen.
Very like part 7, like.
It's very nice.
Very reminiscent of part 7. And then we see the ghoul himself.
I love I love this transition here because, as you said, like. Holly has this kind of moment where she's remembering.
You said
Johnny.
It again.
Jesus Christ!
I hope you guys are keeping counting for the Holly count for this episode.
Lucy has this moment where she's reminiscing, and then we see Toru, the boy,
in the same outfit,
finding. I guess this is the exact moment where he's finding the JOKAKAKA. Which this is gonna be me just being like, why is he like getting the JOKAKAKA at the estate? Why is this happening?
Stay out of my flashbacks.
You mentioned on Twitter it's hilarious that he's wearing the same clothing still.
Yeah, but what you got to remember, he upgraded to a hoodie on top of that when he found Yashiho. Then you gotta say it's just like they're doing this thing where they just keep adding Toru to flashbacks.
It's true.
And I feel like if part 9 is a continuation of like this story, which it kind of feels like it's going to be, like I feel he's just gonna keep showing up in like flashbacks.
He probably will be.
I was like, I'm getting sick and tired of this smug asshole.
I think this is like the most unnecessary thing in this chapter. I really dislike. I dislike the idea that he's getting the JOKAKAKA at the estate. Why? Like, what does this mean? Does this mean there was JOKAKAKA there the whole time?
Was he like planting it there because of the soil? Just without them noticing?
But, like, why is he planning it there? It didn't show up in JoJolion.
Why did he just show up now? I guess he only showed up in this time period. And then,
this doesn't need to happen.
Why did he enact his plan, like, when Yasuo was a child?
I have no answers. I have no questions.
Because, like, I don't know. You just, like, I feel like when Mamazuku, like, that whole flashback felt unnecessary. Like, of, like, having him connected to Toru as well, and...
Yeah, I just don't get it. I don't get it.
I'm tired of Toru.
Okay, so...
And then, but luckily that one...
They run out.
Luckily she didn't get to the Mitsuba treatment of just staring at him cause, like, Wonder Review to go off and just almost kill her as well. Unless that caused her lung illness to heighten up.
Oh, you say that.
It could be. Even though she died 3 years later, she just thought about that man on that day, like, and that's when it, like, killed her.
Yeah, Wonder Review came to New York City and destroyed her fucking
As we
heart.
see, it just latches on to people like that no matter where you're at, and it just affects you.
So, then we get a bit of a flash forward.
Yeah.
Lucy still dies.
At 65.
So she has the lung disease.
Yes.
She freaking died.
And then Joseph, being the nice man that he is, followed her back to the States and just, like, got an education there because he was kind of stuck there after when the World War started.
He couldn't return. So we actually see, like, a little, obviously, like, World War II happens, but we see, like, a little, like, plane going over, like, a bombed field. I'm just kind of, like, I feel like I don't know if this is supposed to be Morio. I guess it doesn't really matter.
It's supposed to be specific in general, maybe. Or...
The reason why I bring it up is just because, like, when JoJolion began, like, the whole thing about the walleyes coming up is there was, like, this idea of, like, oh, something is protecting. It's like they're coming up to protect, but that was in, like, 2011. So
it's gonna be another nuclear bomb thing where the because Toru was there beforehand, so no, that wasn't like a nuclear thing caused the rock humans or anything stupid like that. No,
they've just been around forever.
Yeah. So, yeah, other than that, we learned that Joseph Joestar got, like, a job at an Atlantic City casino hotel. I was like, oh.
Very fucking hilarious.
Thanks. They gotta tie it to New Jersey, but just for us.
Part 7 ended in New Jersey.
He worked in the shithole that is Atlantic City.
I want a whole spinoff of Fumi in Atlantic City.
And now, unfortunately, Atlantic City is also a JoJo reference now. Fuck's sakes.
As people who have lived in New Jersey, for someone who's
been to Atlantic City multiple times of having a family member work there, fuck Atlantic City.
Yeah, I have no desire to go to Atlantic City ever again.
Don't. It's a shithole.
It is kind of a shithole.
It's sketchy as fuck.
But yeah, so I love that. We get a little flash forward. He met Susie Q. So Susie Q worked for the Speedwagon.
So this time she wasn't an assistant to his mother. She was just a Speedwagon Foundation member. I wish we got a little, like the headshot of what Susie Q looked like, and but we can't get everything.
No.
So yeah, and then we learned that he had Holly as a daughter. But the one thing, because is it also in like the first family tree we've seen is and this is what I think about Part 9 protagonist could be. So Joseph does have 3 siblings.
Yes.
Yes, and you actually see the genders on the other family tree, which is 2 sisters and a brother.
Oh, okay. I forgot about that.
Yep. I checked before I came here.
A little diligent Sam.
So I'm thinking, like, they can do the current time with the new Joestar. It could be a descendant from Joseph, since we got this introduction to him.
Mm-hmm.
And someone related to Holly, who also probably would be motivated. Like,
Interesting. Let's put a pin in this for a second until we get to the end, because I want to bring up Josefumi. Josefumi has, like, been on my mind a lot lately.
So should we just finish up the...
Yeah, let's finish this up.
So, yeah, then we kind of just, get the epilogue with, then about Hishikata estate and everything.
How it's rebuilt by Yatsuyu. Basically just kind of, like, catching the timeline up to, like, where JoJolion began.
His bunk buddy in college, essentially.
I do love that we see all of the rock humans.
Even poor Tom on a little stool.
We even see in the corner, Mr. What's his face?
Dolomite,
the worst stand user of them all.
Well, I'm interested to see because a lot of people, Blue Hawaii is a very conflicted arc.
All right, so here's kind of like the weird element. So we can talk about Holly now.
Yes, well,
this is the weird place where it kind of leaves off. So we're back to reality. We're back to the future.
Oops, there goes gravity.
Oops, there goes gravity.
Yeah, we're at the hospital. Basically, Yashiho and Gappy are together talking about... So
they're leaving.
They're basically, they're leaving...
So they've just visited Holly, presumably.
Yeah. And
the actual Holly.
Yes, and he said, so every equivalent exchange stuff, like, bullshit is gone, because not only do we not have the fruit anymore, that's not here anymore, you also smashed all those fucking vials of low JOKAKAKA.
So it's all gone.
Yeah, it's basically gone. Those corpses finally got picked up in the room, I'm assuming as well.
Well, technically, what Yasha says is, she's like, is that gone? Is that gone now? Forever? Question mark.
It's gone in Japan, but there's probably in some island where they got it from. It's probably lush there.
Mm-hmm. I do like how we have a moment where Josuke thinks about his fallen compatriots, one of whom I think he literally said 12 words to.
Mm-hmm.
The other one was actually his friend, kind of.
The one was kind of his sister that he didn't hang out with at all, other than like a few times, and she's gone for a while.
Yeah.
And Mamazuka, who is kind of his like friend by work or friend by association.
Friend by work.
Friend by association.
He's a coworker.
He's a coworker essentially. You're just working together, but then
so
they're not really like super good friends compared to like him and Yashiho.
That's why he doesn't really give a shit. That's why he only thinks about them for one panel. But one thing I want to say is, so all of the rock weirdness on his face is just kind of fading away. Like, remember he had the big rock thing over his eye? It's all just kind of fading away. So I guess
that's convenient. Go beyond.
The equivalent exchange...
Something go beyond.
I don't think this is go beyond. I think the equivalent exchange just worked.
It just worked.
It's just the low JOKAKAKA that he drank.
But it
just worked.
Sure, but that's supposed to just be equivalent exchange. Maybe he's still blind in one eye, maybe? Because maybe he could still be blind in an eye.
It's true. Like, I would assume the effects would be more like exaggerated, like how the one guy lost his jaw.
You would think. But...
Who knows? Or how Pangea lost his fucking...
His freckles?
No. he lost his fucking spine.
Well, eventually. You remember he lost his freckles first.
That was the exchange. It was spine for... It's pimples. It wasn't freckles.
I don't fucking care. Pangea was...
Freckles aren't like a... They're not like an ailment.
I don't know, man. Someone who's very... I guess vain about it, that could be something they would want equivalent exchanged away.
I guess, but they would be foolish because that would be like
literally like
you're just confirming yourself.
She just has like no like Mitsuba just like has a nose. I mean, we're assuming the nose still works. It's just not skin there.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, we never see her talk about smelling anything, so
no one talks about smelling anything really unless it's stand related.
Yeah, right. Like how what's his face? Stone Free smells like soap bubbles.
Stone Free?
Stone Free.
Interesting.
JoJolion stand. Wait, Jolene. Jolene.
I just see the Jim wrong counter.
JoJolion. Yeah, there's like a couple offhand references that Stone Free smells like soap.
Okay.
It's random.
And then a woman drops her phone holding a baby, and Yashiho, as we learned, does horrible intrusion of privacy of just looking at her photos.
What are you, Yashiho, the NSA? Just going through this woman's photos?
So, yeah, and we learned that lady is Jofume's mom, because he's like, oh, Gabby's like, oh, I knew, because Carrera told me during the demo incident. I'm just like, she told you what she physically looked like? Did she have a picture of his mother?
Maybe?
Like, also, like, she's not a good... they need to think, like, oh, she was looking for the right time. She tried to murder Jofume die.
Yeah.
She's not a good...
I thought this was interesting because that is literally the one... It's like the one scene that we get of her is where she's not like... I don't know if she's trying to let her kid die, but she's painted as a very negligent parent.
She's like Giorno's mother of just not being a good parent.
Maybe
not
really
wanting
the
child.
Mom, but no, you're right. But so
it's a nice moment, but then you think about it, just like she's kind of fucked.
So it's kind of I kind of like this though, because like so it shows that she's moved on, which is important.
You kind of have a weird half brother,
yeah,
or half sister.
But she still cares. Like, she still is, like, because Yasuho, like, pulls the pictures out, shows that, like, she still is very upset that Josefume's gone. And is it, like, bad that Josuke like doesn't confront her? Do you think that's good or bad?
I think it's kind because like
Because
he was down to like he's like, oh, because like you're my brother, with
Holly.
with Holly, and even like a little bit with like back, during the end of Born This Way, it's just like, oh, I have a sister, and even like that kind of thing, and just like you're my brother, kind of like he still kind of came to that conclusion of just having a sibling.
It's very so. I just feel very strange about this because I think there's kind of a way to take it. So like the way that Josuke says, he has this kind of monologue where he says, "I am not Kujo Josefume or Yoshikage Kira. I am one that came from the soil, Josuke." And so with this, it's kind of like the idea he's his own person, and that person is like a member of the Higashikata family.
He responds,
but he doesn't really bond much with the Higashikata family in the part.
He bonds more with like the Holly and Kira and stuff like that, where Jofume does, his body really is Jofume for the most part.
For the most part, yeah.
Like he doesn't really want to bond with the mother side of that, and
I think it's like kind of sad that he doesn't try to.
He doesn't want to because I guess he doesn't want to. Even though he still probably wants to help Holly, which is like he kind of wants to start new because like my first memory was coming out of the soil and everything. The man in the soil is Josuke.
Holly's like so important for his motivation.
I know.
Though.
It's weird.
I think Josuke is kind of like he's like in the middle of a character arc still.
Yes.
I wouldn't say that he's really solved his character here.
He still seems conflicted still.
This reminds me a lot of just how he felt before, where he just felt like he was his own person. I don't know, because it seems like he kind of presents the idea of there being more fruit out there, and it's like, oh, is he going to look for it? Does he care that much about Holly to look for it?
Is he going to research it with the Higashikata family, who's all about the fruit import business then? But like the entire fruit, like every rock human that was in the area that seemed to be involved with that is dead now. So like, is there going to be even more rock humans now in part 9?
Would there be higher-ups that would come to investigate? Yeah. I mean, this is like an international cartel. Like, you'd have to imagine that there's other operatives, if you want to use that word. There's other parties that would still be involved in this.
Also, he's also back in the parking lot where he assumingly snapped a man's neck in there. He's also a wanted fault. Man.
He is a wanted man.
Unless he's kind of probably like, oh, we have money, so we just paid off the cops.
It doesn't seem to be an issue.
No, apparently not.
It really doesn't seem to affect him whatsoever.
Yeah, and we also learned that Jofume's name comes from the sandal that had Joseph's name in it.
Okay.
Essentially.
Yes, so it said Josefumi on his sandal. Very funny. So they say that his parents found it and then named him after Josefumi. So what is this supposed to be? Like,
it's just a coincidence. That's how Jofume got his name.
Who is Jofume? That is my big question. Who is Jofume Kujo?
Exactly.
Jofume Kujo was once depicted with the Joestar birthmark.
That was just Carrera photoshopping.
It very well could have been. This is kind of my big. Before we talk about like the final scene, I kind of want to just talk about this. Yeah. So who is Josuke? Like, the narrative is telling me that he's no one important, but that's like, what
to Josuke, he's not very. It doesn't seem very important. Where like I was so like, even when that whole flashback happened with Josefumi, I was like super interested in him. Like he feels more interested than Kira was.
He really does, especially because like
his design too.
The way that he like interacts with Kira and Holly, because he also had a connection to Holly.
Yeah,
like, he was really.
It was his basically adopted mother to him compared to his own mom.
Because his real one was so terrible.
Yeah.
Holly's the only good parent that's like ever been in JoJolion. Norisuke is kind of like negligent.
Yeah.
Kato is also kind of bad for 90% of it.
Mitsuba had an arc.
Mitsuba,
who's also pregnant.
Mitsuba
Don't forget.
Is pregnant. Mitsuba was kind of like an asshole though.
She is an asshole.
She kind of like she tried to kill Yasuo.
Yeah, Yasuo has a gamer mom,
who's an asshole.
Who is an asshole.
Also an asshole.
So.
But yeah. So I mean, like, people have speculated about Josefumi. So Josefumi could be. So maybe Fumi. Had a kid. Is Josefumi supposed to be the Josuke of this part? Josuke part 4?
Because I feel like, other than whatever that picture means of Carrera hanging out with Jofume and Kira, like I feel like Carrera is more tied to Jofume. So if we do see her in like part 9, like she'd be more attached to him and like more stuff about him.
Yeah, I just wonder, is this even important anymore? Like, by Araki having like the mystery of Jofume's name explained, I feel like it's literally like he's putting it to rest. He's like, okay, don't worry about this.
It's the spirit of Joseph Joestar supposed to be in him, since his design is more like Josuke from Part 4, and that's supposed to be just like the spiritual son of Joseph.
I guess so. My problem with it though is like Part 8 has been full of these like character subversions. Like when we see Kira for the first time, Kira is not. He's not the bad guy. He's not the kidnapper. He's not the killer.
No, they subvert our expectations. He's just an asshole that made his neighbor eat his fingers.
Like, yeah, and like so Kira's like that. So we have character like Carrera, who is very much like it's not just Yukako. Like this is a very different character.
She just has a variation of her stand, but she's like a petty thief essentially.
So like
she's very Catwoman like, where she's like walks the lines of being a hero and being a villain while also like dick teasing our protagonist. Yeah, she's very Catwoman like.
I just don't. I don't know. I don't want to buy like. I don't just want to take it for granted that like, Joseph Joestar did the whole Joseph Joestar thing and had Josuke like.
Yeah, I don't want this because like, you know, I think the whole Part 9 could be one of the descendants of the Joseph siblings, but like I don't want it to be like, oh, because this one also cheated on Suzy Q. But I don't think this one will be related that Joseph is not the father of Josefumi. I do not think. I think it's just a weird thing of like, oh, because that sandal is like inherited the will of Joseph, I guess. Mm-hmm.
So the one other thing that I want to bring up with this is like, so if it is the case, so if Joseph, sorry, oh my god, I'm confusing myself. If Joseph Joestar did have Josefumi, then he would be a half brother to Holly. They would be related.
Yeah.
So I think it's weird that like that connection was just never established. Like, because as we said, he had like a connection to her.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Party's about family.
I guess I'm just thinking too hard about this. I think Araki with this whole sandal thing is literally just saying like, don't worry about it. Like,
it's just a funny coincidence.
But if he hadn't, none of this would be an issue if he hadn't drawn that fucking birthmark on Josefumi on that one panel.
It's just a smudge on the photo. Don't worry. Kira doesn't have one. He had a birthmark on him.
All right. Well, let's move on. Let's talk about the final scene.
Yes, with the Hishikata family, or the ones that are left, and the one's in the hospital.
Yeah. So Daya calls over.
Daya being like, she was like, "Oh, I was a friend Joe Bro the entire time."
Yeah.
No, she was not.
All these people pretending like they're characters.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
That's very true, though.
So we see some gorgeously rendered cakes and pies. I mean, they're drawn. They're rendered.
We have cherry, strawberry, chocolate, like, and you can't decide which one to pick for when for Norisuke being discharged from the hospital.
It's so okay. I just want to say it's so nice Norisuke didn't actually die.
Yes,
I'm so that was like the big
just a minor brain damage.
The big Part 8 meme was that Norisuke had like the biggest death flags, and I love that he didn't die.
Yeah,
it's great. Another Rocky subversion.
Fucking that flash forward ruined so much.
We just won't even talk about that. We're not even gonna talk.
We'll wait about that. We'll talk about that in the spoiler cast for the next episode, because that thing ruined so many of our, in our hindsight, so many of our discussions.
It actually makes me just lose faith in like predicting things in JoJo. Why predict things? Why bother predicting things when he'll just drop a flat? Okay, we'll talk about it later.
I'll never trust the countdown ever again.
Okay, so they have this whole thing where they're like, which cake do we choose? Oh my god. And it's like this cute little slice of life moment. And no pun intended.
Then Hato says something that triggers the entire family, and they all go through PTSD for an entire page.
I do like the idea. So one of the lines she said is that the cake has to be like symbolic of their new family, like it's a new beginning for the Higashikatas.
Mitsuba's like, oh shit, I'm a widow, that's right.
Mitsuba is awfully like chill until this moment.
The most we've ever seen her like really break.
Yeah. Everyone is really sad because they're like, shit, mom and also big brother Jobin are fucking dead.
But it's kind of nice to be like, this family like we'll just take Mitsuba in. We're not gonna like throw her away because you have Tsurugi. It's just nice that she's just part of the family now.
Yeah, well, I think it'd be weird if they
I know
Tsurugi's mom.
I know, but it's nice to just have her in the family now, even with Jobin, who was, I guess,
You got to.
She's part of the family, and I like that.
You gotta take. Life hits hard sometimes. You gotta just take everyone you can and hang on as closely to everyone that you can.
So then Tsurugi, being the Chad of the family now, is saying, "Yo, Josuke, you pick."
Wait, sorry, but there's one part that I really like where Daya is like, she's like, well, since she's like fighting tears, like, since we're fruit sellers, we should eliminate cheesecakes, and I think that's just like a cute little line.
Good.
But then, as you said.
Yeah, Tsurugi being the Chad just says, Josuke, choose. And then Josuke's last line of JoJolion is, you want me to pick the cake.
You want me to pick the cake?
That's his last line. That is a line that will be in a loading screen of another Eyes of Heaven game. Because Eyes of Heaven picks very random lines in JoJo and just puts them in there.
I think it's a really important line, actually.
And then
especially Joshu saying, Josuke, just choose one. Like, the look on Joshu's face here. Look at, like,
he's like
how dependent and vulnerable he is.
He's like, just fucking pick one.
No, I don't. I'm reading it totally differently. I'm reading that as, like, him being, like... I don't know. I see him as being really vulnerable and, like, open to Josuke, kind of accepting him in a way. And then...
He's, like, reluctantly, like, asking him. I feel, just being, like... He doesn't have the spirit anymore to really hate him.
Exactly. I think that's part of it. That's the acceptance.
His little tiny
this
hand.
whole ending is just the family finally properly accepting Josuke and giving Josuke, like, agency. He's choosing the cake.
His tiny hand. Instead of taking the napkin, he took the cake.
Yeah, and then the final page of JoJolion.
The final Daya has the last line entirely of JoJolion.
Pick one, Josuke.
The last line of JoJolion, and then
which is fine. I don't know why you're being like all weird about it.
I wanted Yashahou to join them with. Though.
I think it's fitting that she leaves, honestly. I like she gets a little tear in her eye. She leaves the Higashika. This is why I'm kind of saying, like, this is my issue with the part of, like, of Joshu or Josuke trying, like, murder his, like, finding his real family is, like, Higashikatas, just because they weren't, like, he just didn't have
because he did have, like, various shit to deal with each of them, and, like, different arcs with different, like, rock humans, essentially, and it's just, like, now he's really part of it, but after their equivalent part, he doesn't really interact with any of them.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of like the symptom of, like, a battle shonen.
Like, even with Mitsuba, I don't think he ever interacts with Mitsuba.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
Like, he doesn't talk to her. I don't think he spoke a single line to Mitsuba.
Ooh, that's a pretty big claim that I think you're correct.
I don't think, and, like, because, like, other than maybe him showing up to Garage and just speaking to everybody in general, or just Yashahou, but, like, directly to her, I do not think
okay,
so.
We're being a little too negative. We need to be positive for a little bit longer than we can be negative.
Oh, I do love the shot.
So I love this final shot. I love the symbolism of the two chairs. Did you notice
the two empty chairs
of Jobin and... I can't remember her name. She's not important.
Kato?
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I was like, I'm waiting for you to finish. Like, are you having a stroke?
No. I think I love that we see Joshu's tiny hand.
Will he get it amputated in part 9? Who knows?
I like how Joshu is kind of embracing Daya. It's very cute. It's
the girl that tried to,
Sam, we're being positive. We're being positive, Sam. And we see the fucking dog. Iwasuke is alive.
Outlived Jobin.
Iwasuke survived how many stand fights? At least 3, right?
He survived
the Yotsu fight.
He somehow fucking survived Ozone Baby.
He survived Ozone Baby, he survived Yotsu, and he survived the Wonder of You arc.
Yeah.
This dog.
Dogs that are known to pursue people that just randomly show up.
True. This dog is the most blessed dog in all of JoJo.
He didn't even bother when the whole Wonder of You thing happened.
He just didn't get out of his little doghouse.
But like, I did enjoy the final chapter though. Like the ending of JoJolion, like the whole ending arc is something we'll talk about, I guess, in the spoiler cast.
Once I reread it and recontextualize all my feels for it, I wonder how different my opinion will be next time we speak. Maybe do we want to put like a deadline on it? We're not going to put a deadline on it. We'll be out when it's out.
We'll try to do it I guess the same time, this same kind of week of like wherever the 18th, 19th will be. Not like a definitive date, but it's probably around that.
Yeah, we'll try and shoot for, so it'll be like, oh look, it's the JOKAKAKA for the month.
Yes.
All right, but I love this little shot. I like how, I don't know, I like the Yashahou leaves. I like that she's not like inserting herself in with the family, because it really is. This is the family. Like this is the Higashikatas. That is like, some of them are married in, some of them are furry friends. Or the dog, and some of us are misfits like Josuke. who are technically legally Higashikatas.
You know how I just would have loved Josuke coming back and just grabbing her to bring her with him. That would have been because I just wanted the end shot of him like with Yashiho like that. Because like the closest thing we got that was the
last chapter we got that. It's funny because I don't know if I said it in the podcast, but I had a feeling of like that one moment of them together, like that one panel was like this is going to be
2
the
chapters
most
ago. That was the end of Wonder Review or Go Beyond was her head on him. Because then remember,
oh that's right,
Radio Gaga started with just going right into the flashback.
That's right. All of the last chapter was literally the flashback. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. I just would have loved like him going with her and it's like I want you to join me because she's like family to him essentially.
Yeah.
Because she's the only one left, really, like that he went on the journey with. Because
yeah, but he's being welcomed into his new family. He's finally sitting at the table. Well, not literally, but he's finally.
Because you think they're all gonna eat all those cakes?
No, Sam. They're choosing a cake for Norisuke.
What are they gonna do with the rest of the cakes?
Not gonna buy them. They own this. They fucking own this store.
I know, but still, like, they have them on the table already.
Yeah, they're in Sam. It's a freaking
They're not in display. They're just sitting there in the open, waiting to be eaten.
Yeah, they're examining them. They're trying to find the perfect cake for their
as Jaya does dad. With a magnifying glass.
Because she has bad vision.
Yeah, she's legally blind.
See, Rocky didn't forget.
She's legally. I mean.
I do love the idea that she carries a magnifying glass on her just in case, or at least leaves one at the restaurant.
Yeah,
the parlor.
It's just like I do love this final panel. It's just like there's so many things I'm still thinking about. It's just about part 8. It's just
part 8. It's messy.
It's messy.
JoJo's very messy.
It's hard to do a mystery themed one without like every little thing, because if you do a mystery there's a bunch of little things people are going to like remember and think about, and when you don't touch upon them, like especially Josuke saying I have no memories like beforehand and then having the flashback man be a memory of something in the past.
I think that Araki likes using the aesthetics of mystery rather than actually like following through and solving the mystery.
It just leads to a lot of stuff, and then especially like leading like more mysteries is like, oh, these mysteries this character had in their backstory that we're just learning about now. That was Toru and Wonder Review. But that's more nitpicking of just the Wonder Review in general. So
which wasn't my favorite. I didn't love the Wonder Review.
Toru is a terrible last villain.
Toru is not a very good last villain. I think that's very easy to like.
He can linger. He might be because, like, as I said in the flashbacks, he could linger in the part 9 with more if we had more flashbacks. Because one of the things I did love more before, I guess, the earlier flashbacks, I loved so much in. I didn't even like Radio Gaga.
I liked all the flashbacks.
Except for like I don't know, just him always being like the Mamazuku flashback of him as a kid. I didn't like.
What? It's only 2, right?
What?
It's 2 and then Radio Gaga.
What?
Of flashbacks that Toru's in.
Yeah, Radio Gaga. And then he appeared in Yashiho's flashback when she was a kid.
Planet Appraisers.
And Planet Appraisers. I did not like those nearly as much because they kind of just shoot.
I like the
Yashiho one's fine.
Yashiho
one's good. It gave us the B. He was grooming her and everything. But yeah, the Mamazuku one.
It gave us B.
It gave us warning B.
I don't know. I mean,
as I say, going back and reading it, before I make like a super hard opinion. Yeah. So,
but my impression is also the same. I think Toru is pretty weak as a main villain, especially judging Toru by the others. I feel like he doesn't really sit at the same table that like a Funny Valentine, or even a Part 3 Dio, like.
Because Dio, these parts of Dio had that presence of like what he did in part 1, and then his like impression to his like lackeys, I guess he had in there as well.
I think Part 3 Dio is a really good comparison point to Toru, because technically Dio is a character,
but he's not
throughout Part 3, but he doesn't really have like his appearance until the final arc.
Yeah, and then when he shows up, first appearance to Polnareff on the stairs is like such like a great first impression of what Part 3 Dio is.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of like stumbled upon like. I want to see someone do a video essay comparing like how Part 3 Dio is done better than like Part 8 Toru as a final villain. Like just given like the mystery of the stand power, the tying it, making it like personal to the protagonist.
He had a very similar thing to Diavolo of just kind of being a hidden guy in the shadows kind of thing, and like wondering, oh, what is this guy? Is one guy linked to I guess Toru, or we kind of learn like the Doppio equivalent is the head doctor, I guess, and like learning Diavolo is like what is a Toru, and it's just it's like the difference between both of them as well. But like he's way more ruthless. Like, Diavolo's way more ruthless and has way more of an agenda of just his whole thing of keeping his identity secret, where Toru is money.
Toru also is like, there's like long stretches of time where Toru doesn't really like pursue his goals.
Yeah.
He just lets things happen.
Okay. This is more for spoiler cast talk. Just like, he enacts his grand plan so late when he was obviously like doing this Rokaka shit, like in the 40s at least. And probably earlier.
Yeah.
Because he had it.
It's interesting. Maybe we should table this and then bring this up.
Because Toru's going to be a major discussion thing for that spoiler cast.
Because now I'm just thinking about, like, all the setup with Akafu and, like, having the whole, like, press reveal of the JOKAKAKA, which functionally in the story it serves a purpose because it tells us about the JOKAKAKA so that Josuke can use it later. But...
Well, he doesn't use it. Holiday uses it on him.
Well, yeah. He gets it used on him.
I'm going to make so much money with this, and...
Yeah, I mean, I think he just... Toru doesn't even... He's not even, like, a failed character. Like, I think there's a lot that, like, we get... Especially in 108, we got some really nice moments with him.
His weird interactions, too, with Yasuho, like, in the hospital are so interesting. Like, especially, like, what, like, his character, he's kind of goofy with that.
Like, the part when he talks about, like, getting her wet. Do you remember that line?
Yeah, he just, like, all his weird, like, sexual things are just, like, weird, like, hey, Yasha, you didn't pee in the elevator, did you?
Yeah, that's weird. I actually forgot about that. I thought that was, like, a meme edit when I saw that image today.
So...
Well, yeah, we'll talk about this later. I didn't want to,
Yeah, I want to say people's homework when you reread it for the next month. Try to get this list ready, or you know, we got, where Gappy ranks in JoJo protagonists, where, I guess, your Part 8 ranks... If you had to give a number grade for Part 8,
me?
Yeah.
So this is really hard. I'm really picky with number grades. Like, for me, 10 out of 10. There's like a few 10 out of 10s.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I would call this Part 7 a 10 out of 10. Personally,
I would give it like a 7.5. I think.
I think that
or 8.
JoJolion for me is like it's a strong 8.
8.
JoJolion's a strong 8 for me.
Yeah.
I think like the few gripes that I have with it are like kind of major, but
we'll come back to it once we reread it, I guess. Like, kind of review that score.
I could see my rating only going up, honestly.
Yeah. All right. And then we have I guess if Toru would be the main villain, where would you rank him? Your favorite arc, least favorite arc, and underrated arc.
Sure. Yeah, Sam said them all.
I think that's...
You don't want them to answer now.
No. Just get your homework ready. Just ready for those comments for when we get there.
Okay, yeah, what we'll do, I'll try and remember, and then what we'll do in the beginning of our next one is we'll say that in the beginning so that all the comments can type that out. I'll put it like, whatever. This is
we
later.
get closer to it. We'll I think Jim will maybe on Twitter maybe have the sheet for it, I guess, for the comment sheet.
Yeah, we'll get to it when we get to it.
Yeah. Be out when it's out.
In the immortal words of Linkara, it'll be out when it's out.
And
so it's over.
So yeah, I guess
what do you think's gonna happen in the next episode of JoJolion?
Part 9, JoJoland.
That Part 9 is announced. JoJo tentatively titled JoJoland.
Like I said, I think it could be something related to one of the siblings Joseph has, and descended from one of them. Just so
I like that idea.
May be a couple of years into the future, so we follow them, but we can still have the Part 8 cast that's alive and like pop in there, where he's not like so he doesn't have like the Hishikata estate, like, the whole family with him. He just, like, on his own kind of adventure going in there, maybe.
Yeah.
Him or her. We don't know. Could be the twins.
Okay, so obviously...
Could be cousins.
The twins idea...
Could be twins. Could be cousins. Really could be the one descent of one of the family members. Like, one of the aunts and one of the uncles.
I really love the idea of it being the children of Gappy and Yasuho.
I don't think it's gonna go that far into the future, because I feel like
it would need to be pretty far. So because they're both like 19, I think.
Yeah.
So if it were to be modern age, they would both be 29. So their kid would be like too young to be a protagonist. So if he did like 2025,
I feel like it'd go to
or 2026.
Even think of like Giorno age, like 15-year-old protagonist kind of thing, like. I don't think going that far, like Holly, like how old Holly's gonna be, or would she still be alive in that coma? Like,
yeah, that's the thing. It's like, are we really gonna get like satisfying conclusions to these, or are they just gonna be like classic JoJo don't worry about
some
it.
kind of reveal of like, one of the people we thought was dead is actually somehow on like life support, still alive.
You mean Jobin?
Could be Jobin.
You mean Jobin?
Could be Jobin. Mamazuku somehow.
No, I would really not like that actually. If Jobin were to come back, I would be like, ugh. Why wouldn't you like tease that at least?
Born This Way comes out with an eye patch. Come out of a pen with an eye patch to help save the day.
No, the dead character should stay dead unless there's some kind of like hilarious raise the dead stand. But that would be bad.
Some kind of like judgment stand. They're just like a genie where it like pretends to bring back the ghost of the.
Okay, yeah, I guess that would be okay if it was like a pretend and not a real.
But I'm just thinking, just like that's my prediction. Since none of our other predictions really came true. I didn't get Holly with Star Platinum. Didn't get the 20-page nut.
We didn't get a Holly main villain.
Yeah. So I guess another thing, question. I guess people can comment. Do you have like what was your kind of your favorite like moment in like either with like JoKaKAKA moment or just like Part 8 moment, stuff like that?
What's your
just, like,
favorite JoKaKAKA?
I don't know. You have a favorite like you journey, your favorite theory. Okay, your favorite theory you
that didn't happen. What was your favorite theory that didn't happen?
That you came up with or we came up with? Just put those.
Mine would have to be
Holly main villain.
No, all of the fucking theorizing we did over the flash forward of Tsurugi.
Oh my god,
gaining power.
The King Crimson.
Not even the King Crimson, but the Tsurugi gaining the power. That is like the thing that I was so sold on that just wasn't even a fucking thing.
I wanted the Nut Punch was Yasuho gaining the Nut King Call arm so bad, and I was so sad that it was just, I know it was a stretch, but it would have been so cool just to have her have that kind of power. It would have been so cool.
It wouldn't have been surprising, but I mean, because
equivalent exchange can feasible. Work whatever the fuck way it wants to. So
because as we see, Josuke's fine.
Yeah. So, anything else, or should we get to the plug part? All right, so just thank everybody, though, for just joining us on the Part 8 adventure.
This has been a wild ride. If you've been around long enough to know, like, this is where we got our start. People didn't care about our content until we started doing JoJolion.
Yeah.
So it's very important to us, and we love doing it.
It let us do JoKaKAKAs to have those 3-hour exhausting discussions with people, really cool people, man, that we got to meet because of it. Like
it's been a wild ride, and it's only just beginning. Apparently,
yeah, it's crazy to see end, but it's gonna be wild to see a chapter 1 of an entirely new part.
Can you even imagine?
I can't believe it's called JoJoLand, and like
I don't think it's gonna be called JoJoLand. That's my prediction. It's gonna have a different title.
Okay, and even the funnier thing, like we're gonna cover the spin-off of Josuke and Whole Horse together as well, which I cannot wait for, especially rereading through Part 3, which we have.
It's
also
so
been
funny.
Doing.
Before 2021, I was like worried. I was worried about Part 8 ending so soon, but 2021 has been a boon for JoJo. We've got, as you said, Whole Horse Josuke spinoff, which is going to be done by the Purple Haze Feedback writer, correct?
Okay, is it? Okay, it's supposed to be a manga too, I think, right?
It's not a light JoJo spinoff.
So it's not. I'm so happy if it's not a light novel.
I would also prefer it to not be a light novel.
We're getting alternate like art style too. It's not just like a Rocky, or maybe just not trying to copy a Rocky. It'd be interesting to see JoJo in like an alternate art style.
Honestly, it's shocking there hasn't already been a JoJo spinoff, like a proper manga spinoff.
Oh, what about that one with the egg?
The one that Clamp did, yeah. Well, that's a Dojin Sam.
Yeah, close enough.
Not quite. Not a licensed spinoff, but yeah. I mean, what were we saying? Thank you for joining.
We're just talking about all the content that's coming out for JoJo. We had Part 6, but the Part 6, like, we're going to be covering like the anime, like, what we did with Part 5. We'll cover like the arcs. They had animated arcs movie going.
There's so much. Don't touch that dial.
It's the image of Sabrina the Teenage Witch with her getting all the pancakes fed to her. It was all the content just given to us.
Wait, I don't know what you're talking about.
There's this image of Sabrina the Teenage Witch where like a bunch of people were just feeding her pancakes. All the pancakes are just like something else of content. She can't eat it all.
Well, that's gonna be you with all of the JoKaKAKA content.
Yes.
How has it taken us, literally? JoKaKAKA content,
as we call it.
JoKaKAKA.
Don't worry, we're not changing the name of the podcast.
Oh, why'd you reveal it now? I wanted to do a whole reveal.
No, we're not changing the name of it. We said it in the live stream like 20 times last night.
Yeah, that's a live stream. No one watches those. Tune in for our live streams.
Whenever.
So
yeah, and then I guess we plug it up now.
Plug up JoJolion one final time.
Oh boy.
Imagine you're stuffing things into a guardrail.
Oh God. Thank you all so much for listening to us, like, in this series. Like, it's like we said, it's been fun. You can always like the video and comment, subscribe. We're almost at 5,000. If the end of JoJolion could give us 5,000, it'd mean a lot to us.
It would be the best. It'd be the total coolest thing ever.
And then, yeah, like I said, like, comment, subscribe. You can also join our Discord as well to keep up with all various stuff.
Yeah, definitely make sure you follow our Twitter.
Yes.
Keep subscribed. Ring that fucking bell.
Yes.
You don't want to lose JoKaKA. Even
Yes.
though JoJolion's ending, we're not.
Yes. Yeah, you can like the podcast. You can also me and Jim separately to see our funny haha meme or our stuff and other stuff we like. And I think that's just about it, right?
Yeah, you can follow me at King Protus.
Yeah, follow me at JoKaKaka. You can also check out some of our other content, like our Part 3 discussion, Crusading through Part 3, and other anime stuff. We're doing Attack on Titan now, too.
Yep, that is still not aired, but
we're going.
Well, it will air eventually.
We said it too, also, like in a live stream that no one watched. So
we said it on the Medi one.
Yeah, we also said it Medi, which is out. So
yeah, so
if you better listen to that too, our BroKaKa.
Listen to the BroKaKa. All right, thank you so much again from the bottom of my heart.
Yes,
thank you for joining us for this magical adventure.
And I guess I'm seals for probably every JoJo podcast, but to be continued. That in Part 9. Yes. Good job. You have a great impression of Roundabout. All right.
I'll be around.
We'll see you in JoJo Land, maybe, if that's what it's going to be called.
Meet you in JoJo Land. Goodbye.
What if we held hands in JoJo Land?
Goodbye.
Goodbye.